Hi, hello.
Hi, friends.
Little cat, nobody asked you. Welcome back. Welcome back.
Hope you've had a good week.
Yeah, I've had a good week this month. It's been a long ass week.
It has. It has. Gemma literally today just looked at me and said, "This week flew by." I was like, "For you,
for a child who doesn't know anything about what's going on,
who was out of school 3 of the 5 days."
Yeah. All right. So usually we do our little catch up.
Got anything we didn't already talk about today?
I don't think so.
We got together a little bit early today and went to go get food.
Yeah. I went to the Chinese buffet. It was really good.
Hit up Target.
Yeah. They didn't have my tree hut. Tree hut, if you're listening. I need desert haze. It smells so good. And I need a body butter. Is she wiping her ass on the carpet?
Yeah, I've never seen a cat butt shuffle.
That's one thing about Amara. She likes having a clean butthole. But at the expense of my rugs.
I've literally never seen a cat butt shuffle. You should
see her when she does it on the bare floor. How that feels good, I don't know. But
she gonna do it
I ain't never seen a skid mark. So thank heavens for that.
Do they have like anal glands like dogs do that need to be expressed?
I think males do, like unneutered. It's usually like to do with neutering, like or spaying. I've never had any issues with them. I've never had to have any of them cleaned out. Allie would with Charlie because he would stink.
I don't think I have much of anything.
No, I really don't. So we'll get right into it, I guess. Spooky Maine, where I don't know, my brain just quit.
Is it the new location?
It might be. I think it's throwing me off. We're sitting in the living room because Daniel's not here, so we set up in here, and I'm sitting in my recliner, my blankie, and I think I'm too comfortable, and it's freaking me out.
It's fantastic, though. I'm kind of here for it.
I don't mind it, but it's just, I don't know. It's throwing off the routine, so it's got me discombobulated.
Maybe.
Plus, I can't pull my table any closer to me.
Yeah, that's bothering me slightly, but it's okay. I got my mouse on my leg here.
Yeah. But yeah, so, yeah, it's been a long, I'm not even going to get into it. I've been anxious. Anyway. So in Maine, y'all ain't got shit going on. So like, there's a lot of ghost stories, but every single time I would be working on this story, and what do you know? It's been disproven. I'm just like, I'm sick of this. So I left them in. You're hearing them anyway.
Did Ghost Adventures ever do anything?
There's a lot. Ghost Adventures and Ghost Hunters have been to several of these places.
And disproved all of them?
And, like, either that or, like, after the fact, it's been proven of, like, what's going on. Or, in one of these places, how can you tell me it's haunted if it's been torn down? And been torn down for a long time. And ain't nothing there. And it's private property. Nobody's allowed on it.
I mean, just because the structure's not there anymore.
Well, I realize that. But it's like, it's gated. Like, it's blocked. Like, nobody can access this property.
So what you're telling me is there's a story where people claim that this area is haunted.
Right.
Okay, I thought you were saying like Ghost Adventures or Ghost Hunters.
No.
Okay.
It's like, people claim that it's like one of the most haunted places in Maine, but then ain't nobody got no actual stories. Ain't nobody sharing personal stories. I don't know. We'll get into it. So
hold on, time out. Just because, my brain works in mysterious ways.
Yeah.
There is a supernatural episode that takes place in Waterville, Maine.
Yeah. I feel like
they visit. Oh, so they just went there to find the location. Dean and Castiel went to visit a police station to learn the location of Raphael's vessel.
I
think this might be an episode that I just watched, actually. Anyway, continue.
I did start doing a little rewatch. I'm only a few episodes in, but
I'm in the trenches now, and I've gotten to the point to where I hate it so much, but I've made it this far, so I can't stop now.
Yeah.
I just keep telling myself it eventually gets better, because when they get into, the Men of Letters...
Oh, I love the Men of Letters.
That's the part that I like, when they've got the whole bunker and all of that. I love those.
Yeah.
And I love it when...
And, with Charlie...
And I like, because the officer...
Jody?
Yeah, she just came in a couple episodes back. I like her. Mm-hmm. But the whole section with the Men of Letters bunker and all that, and then when they bring...
So basically, once Bobby dies, the show gets better.
Stop it, because I forgot he dies.
Oh, spoiler alert! If you're watching the show for the first time,
well, wait, because which time? Because he's died a couple times.
The time.
The time. Okay. Yeah. Well, anyway, but what's the son that they take in at the end, the last couple of seasons, and it's Lucifer's son.
Oh yeah. Jack.
Yeah, I like him.
I do like Jack.
Anyway, back to Maine.
Yeah. So, the Kennebec Arsenal is my first little spot. In 1827, President John Quincy Adams signed a bill that authorized the construction of a federal arsenal in Augusta, Maine. Construction began in 1828 and continued for the next 10 years. The first buildings were constructed were the commanders and the officers' quarters, the barracks, stables, a carriage shop, and the main armory. Nearly all of the 8 major buildings were constructed from Maine granite and in the Greek Revival style. There was a retaining wall and wharf constructed at the river's edge for unloading supplies, and there was also a perimeter fence constructed of granite and iron that surrounded the property. Over the latter part of the century, the arsenal remained active and manufactured weapons for the Mexican-American War as well as the American Civil War. Due to the remoteness of the arsenal and because other facilities were being used to manufacture weapons, it was only being used for storage, and its importance was on a steady decline with the approach of the 20th century. And in 1901, the arsenal was formally abandoned by the U.S. military, and on April 13th, 1905, President Theodore Roosevelt signed a bill that authorized the transfer of the arsenal to the state of Maine to be used by the Maine Insane Hospital. All of the wooden structures were demolished, and only the stone structures were left in place. Patients were moved to the arsenal buildings in 1906, and doctors and support staff moved into the barracks and houses. In order to accommodate the different needs of the hospital, the interior of the arsenal building had been completely torn out, and new concrete floors with hardwood on top were added, as well as new iron staircases. There was a dining hall and kitchen built in the basement. The first floor became a sitting room for patients, consisting of 4 small rooms for attendants. The second and third floors were the sleeping quarters for patients, and the attic contained apartments for night attendants. Now known as Old Max, a building was constructed between 1907 and 1909 that would be the maximum security building for the asylum. Housed here were the patients that were too dangerous for the primary hospital, but too mentally ill for a regular prison. Old Max was used as a residential treatment facility through the 1970s when it was renovated by the state of Maine and became office space for the Department of Human Services. The facility was closed in 2004, and in 2007, the property was sold to Tom Neiman, who was a private developer. 2 parcels totaling 17.4 acres and 8 buildings were sold for $750,000. The conditions of the sale included a covenant that required the new owner to preserve, maintain, and repair the property in order to retain its value. But instead, the property was left to deteriorate, and vandals broke windows, stole copper wiring and pipes, and there has been significant water damage due to a lack of maintenance on the roof of the buildings. In 2012, the developer was given a deadline to secure and improve the property. However, little was done, and in 2013, the state sued to return ownership. The developer claimed that the decline in the economy hindered his efforts, and since then, he has prevented foreclosure by making the occasional repair and making late payments for overdue utility fees. In conjunction with the Maine Historic Preservation Commission, the Maine School of Masonry has done mortar work on the property at no cost. Students used hand tools to insert new, but period-correct mortar into the 2-foot-thick granite blocks to attempt to prevent water from seeping through the gaps and previously incorrectly done repairs. Reportedly, while it was in operation, there were 11,647 people who died during their stay at Augusta Mental Health Institute, and allegedly there were no detailed records kept of who died and where they were buried. It is believed that the dead were buried along the shoreline of the Kennebec River in unmarked graves. But what about the ghosts? Well, despite having a reputation for being one of the most haunted places in Maine, which really isn't boding well for this episode, because since the best information I could find is that prior to closing, it is said that people would hear cries of former patients and see apparitions. But since then, this place has been closed and almost completely abandoned since 2004. And with almost no spooky history to be found online, I'm really not sure how it ended up on all of these lists. I only left it on here because it does have a cool history, is kind of spooky, and I put in all this work already and didn't want to have to start over on another place because this is the first of 3 that were major busts.
Oh.
So, yeah.
Well. So we're going to split it up like we have the last couple times, and I'm going to give you some weird, stupid laws in the state of Maine, being that Brittany was not having a great time finding spooky stories there, so I didn't even try. So in Maine, after January 14th, you can be charged a fine for not taking down your Christmas decorations. So those of you all that, have year-round Christmas lights up, Maine is not here for it. And then also in Augusta, you cannot play the violin while walking down the street. I don't know why that's a problem, but in Portland, while you're walking down the street and not playing your violin, well, this is in Portland, so it might not be a problem there, but your shoelaces have to be tied. If your shoelaces come untied, you can get in trouble. It is weird. Illegal to blow your nose in public in Waterville, Maine. Don't be tickling your lady's chin with a feather duster in Portland. That'll wind you up with at least a fine. And this one got me, and I want to know what's the word I'm looking for? What's the charge, or what happens if you do this? Because ain't nobody gonna find out.
Yeah.
You cannot step out of a plane while it's in flight.
I mean, who's doing that?
Again.
Oh, well, I mean, there are skydivers.
Yeah, that makes sense. I didn't think about that. Well, not in Maine.
Yeah,
You ain't doing that in Maine.
Ain't nobody skydiving in Maine.
There, that was my first part of the list. If you want to move on.
I'm
gonna eat another one of these Hershey's Kisses. You want another one?
No, I'm okay. Bucksport, Maine is an old coastal town with what is believed to be a sordid history. Colonel Buck was one of the town's founding leaders, and the story goes that a long time ago there was a mayor named Colonel Buck who had an affair with a woman about the town, and when she threatened to share the secret, he had her burned as a witch. It was said that she became engulfed in flames. As she became engulfed in flames, her foot fell out of the fire, flopped onto the gravestone of her accuser, and made a permanent mark after she cried out a curse. The site attracts visitors from all over who come to gaze upon the tomb of Colonel Buck. But unfortunately, this entire story was made up. The tombstone wasn't even erected until 60 years after the death of Colonel Buck.
Why do you use that word?
What?
Erected.
I mean,
Every
it was
time.
erected. And he was never even the mayor, but he was the justice of the peace. If he had any love affairs, it was not on record, and there is also no records of any executions of witches in Maine. The only alleged witches that were put to death in New England were hung or pressed to death with stones and not burned alive. But in the discovery of the fake story of Colonel Buck, there is a lesser-known gravesite a few streets away with a very real story attached to it. It's not a ghost story, but it's a wild story. So the story of Sarah Ware is pretty strange. She lived an unusual life as a divorced woman in the 1800s, which was practically unheard of then. She was 52 years old and supporting herself as a Jill of all trades by babysitting, cleaning, and doing odd jobs. One evening, she was on her way home when she disappeared. She was found 2 weeks later with her body beaten so badly that when she was removed, her head fell off and her jaw was completely missing.
Oh.
Her head was kept as evidence while the rest of her body was buried somewhere. No idea where. It was kept, her head was kept in criminal storage for nearly a century before it was discovered by clerks in 1983. The head was given a stone and laid to rest in the Oak Hill Cemetery without the body. But who killed her? Many believe it was the last man she saw, William Trewargy, who had a very long history of violence and most likely didn't want to pay her for work that she may have done for him. A bloody hammer was found with his initials on it, and in the 1800s, that was almost as good as a confession as far as evidence is concerned. He was tried, but it was many years after her death. By that time, all of the witnesses had either recanted their statements or died. And unfortunately, a sign of the times were that whether there was substantial evidence or not, he most likely would have gotten away with the crime anyway because she was a divorcee, older woman in the 1800s. So who cares, right? The site where Sarah's body was found, the site where her body was found is now the high school parking lot.
Oh.
So.
Wow. Okay. So some more laws. In the city of Ellsworth, the laws there supersede federal or state laws. So if the city laws are more strict than the ones that the state or the federal have put in place, the city's laws go above that. Which is crazy to me.
Yeah.
It's attempting to catch lobsters barehanded is a violation. I don't know that I would want to. I fear that I would get pinched.
Yeah.
In South Berwick, you cannot park in front of a Dunkin'.
That's oddly specific.
Yeah.
I like how oddly specific a lot of these
Yeah.
are. And that's new, because that's a Dunkin'.
Yeah. CNBC did a story on it, and it's in place basically to avoid traffic.
Yeah.
So if you park in front of it, you could get a $175 ticket.
Oh, that's crazy.
That's the most expensive coffee and donut that I've ever heard of. And it ain't even as good as a Krispy Kreme. Or a Voodoo. Voodoo donuts are so good.
You ever had a Krispy Kreme?
Have I ever had a Krispy Kreme?
Yeah.
Is that a serious question?
Was it crispy?
Depends on how fresh it is.
You not ever heard that one?
No. I thought you were being for real. I was like, no.
It's a TikTok sound. That old lady.
No.
You ever had Krispy Kreme?
No.
Was it crispy?
Let's not talk about TikTok.
She deleted her app, y'all.
I'm not okay. Anyway, Facebook Reels just don't be hitting.
It really didn't.
So hold on, let me see if this is specific to a place. It doesn't say. It says you can't own various exotic animals, but you are allowed to have a pet alligator.
Something about that seems...
Yeah. You just need a permit to have a pet alligator.
Well, that makes sense. There's a lot.
But you can't have other ones. And according to the law, the list includes beavers, hippos, elephants, giraffes, kangaroos, and some certain types of birds. But an alligator is okay. I want to know the story behind this one. If you live in Rumford, you are not allowed to bite your landlord. I've never looked at my landlord and thought, I think I might want to bite you.
I'm sure some people have. Just because landlords, you know?
If you're a farmer and you want to eat some potatoes, you have to share it with your pigs. And this, I think this is specific to Huberson. It doesn't really go into detail. And then the next one is, it's illegal to throw certain items in the trash in New Hampshire. I guess there's a New Hampshire, Maine. But let's see what's that list? Media display devices. This was in 2007, added in 2007. So like computer towers, or like, so I guess like computer monitors, TVs.
Yeah.
And then fluorescent lights, which makes sense. I get that. Tires, pharmaceuticals, and lead acid batteries. You can't throw those away in your household trash.
Right.
I was like, oh, the TV part,
you're not supposed to throw regular batteries in the trash. You're not supposed to.
Like regular, batteries that go in my mouse?
Yeah, you're not supposed to.
What do you do with them?
You're supposed to dispose of them like at a recycling facility. Like, you're not supposed to throw them in the trash. But people do.
I do. I didn't know you weren't supposed to. Ain't nobody ever told me that.
Yeah.
Anyway.
You're also not really supposed to throw away like Pam cans and stuff because they explode when they go in the compactors.
I get that.
Also, pro tip, when you throw away like a plastic bottle or something, don't if you're
keep the lid unscrewed a little bit.
Yeah. So the air can push out of it. Otherwise it'll also explode.
It's just a little fun adventure for the guys at the...
Plus also it takes up less room if you just go ahead and crush it.
Yeah.
in your trash.
But you can't really crush a aerosol can.
No. I mean like
the water bottle?
A milk jug, yeah.
All right, you're next.
I was checking tracking for someone. The devil's footprint. During a vague period of time, there was said to be a construction crew that were in charge of building a road when they stumbled upon a boulder. It's a nice boulder that proved to be a totally immovable by natural means.
You missed an opportunity. You could have gone full donkey there and Shrek
a nice boulder. Hey, I slipped it in a little. I didn't go all the way. One of the construction workers climbed on top of the rock and swore that he would sell his soul to the devil if that rock could be moved. The following day, the rock was moved and the worker had disappeared.
Oh.
The only evidence of anything amiss was some strange markings on the rock. Now, though, that rock is part of a cemetery wall and is somewhat famous for holding the devil's footprint. The North Manchester Meeting House was built in 1793 and still serves as a church complete with a cemetery. The fossilized footprint of the devil can be found on a rock in the corner right beside the meeting house. There are actually two impressions on the stone, one that is triangular that is said to be the mark of a cloven hoof, and the other appears to resemble a set of merged together human footprints.
Where's this?
I posted, there's pictures on my notes. The arrangement of the imprints has also resulted in another tale of a man being chased by Satan himself across the rocks. Which, to me, it just looks like, I don't know, some critter died 1 billion years ago and left impressions in this rock. And then somebody, at some point in time, dug this rock up and found said fossil and said, you know what that is? That's a devil.
Okay. I don't see,
it just looks like
it doesn't look
nothing.
Like anything.
Someone has spray painted the markings to make them more visible. The cemetery is also said to be haunted as well. I was fed up at this point, so I did not look into cemetery stories. And mind you, there were 3 before my first one that I was like, nope, veto this one. Nope, veto this one.
So, all right. So have you ever been to a cemetery and thought this would be a great place to advertise, insert whatever? Have you ever thought that?
Yeah, probably.
What would you advertise in a cemetery?
In a cemetery?
Yes.
Oh, I thought you meant just like in general.
No.
The other plots in the cemetery.
Well, in Wales, it's illegal to advertise in cemetery.
Fair enough. You can't get away from ads. Daniel wants to put one in the bedroom. I said,
watch us just go start putting stickers, podcast stickers and QR codes on the signs in different cemeteries. If you're visiting this just for shits and giggles, you might also like our podcast. So roller skating on sidewalks in Biddleford is punishable with a fine. That's a city ordinance. Winning $3 in a poker game in Maine used to be the limit. Like, you weren't able to win anything other than $3.
Fair enough. That would keep you from, like, spending your life savings like some people do.
I guess, yeah.
Because, going to, Like, you and I aren't gamblers.
No.
Like, we don't, like, I'll go and I'll, like, spend $20, but then that's not what feeds my addictive personality. That's not where mine lies.
I didn't have a good time in Vegas when I was gambling.
I find it to be, casinos to be incredibly depressing.
Yes,
because you're watching people just in the depths of an addiction.
Yeah. But it's also very entertaining.
Yeah, I mean, it can be.
Dude.
It's also very overstimulating. There's a lot of noise. And, like, since I've been diagnosed with ADHD, I've not gone to a casino, so I'd be interested to, like, really examine the experience instead of...
Listen. Next year. Well, I guess this year. Vegas.
I ain't going to Vegas.
Why? The boys can go to SEMA.
That's too long. It's too far.
TJ told me he wasn't taking me to Vegas this year anyway.
It's too far.
It's not. It's a great time.
It's too far.
We'd be all right.
I don't want to get on an airplane.
You'd be all right on there with me.
There's something about it that just don't sit right with me.
You'd be all right on there with me.
Probably not. Like, even just thinking about being on an airplane, I'm cold.
It's not cold.
No. Like, my anxiety increases, so my body temperature.
I mean, it can be cold.
And I want to sweat.
I'm not gonna lie, but
I feel like I'm about ready for it. It's like the moment before a cold sweat.
It's not bad.
I'm okay.
After you got the first one under your belt,
there's something unnatural about it. I just don't.
I hear you. You're gonna fly one day, though. I've
flown before. I got video evidence of me in an airplane.
Listen, if this podcast is going to go anywhere, we're going to have to go on research trips. I'm not driving.
One of the main guys on Ghost Hunters, like, for years, would not fly. He skipped out on Ghost Hunters International because he got to the airport and then freaked out.
I hear you.
And could not get on an airplane. But then, like, something, I want to say, I saw something recently that was like Jason Hawes, and he was like, yeah, like, he was going to fly out, he ended up not going because of, the he's afraid of flying, and then only for him to, like, turn around and get on a plane to go somewhere with somebody else. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, he's cool with flying now. But...
I'm telling you, I was terrified. I was absolutely terrified. But, like,
also, an airport seems like hell.
It's really not that bad.
Hell.
It's really not.
Oh, I did see video of the Vegas airport. You're right. It is kind of shitty.
Oh, it is. It's depressing. It's like, it reminds me of a DMV.
Coming outside of it to the, like, hundreds of people waiting for an Uber.
Oh,
that was...
Was it what you saw? Was it a parking garage?
No. It's like where the Ubers pull up.
Yeah, it's like the part that I went into was like but it was like in a parking garage.
No, I mean, it might have been. I don't know. It's enclosed. Even at this airport, it's like enclosed.
That was nuts. The Vegas airport is a little, it's kind of crowded, but like B&A,
yeah,
it's not like once you get through the TSA portion of it. It's not terrible. Depending on the time of year and what's going on. But, like, when I left to go to Vegas, it wasn't that bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, TSA wasn't even really that bad either. But it's like once you get through there and people start dispersing, if you're like not where all the restaurants and stuff are clustered, then you're good. There's like where their international flights take out.
Yeah.
They don't do a whole lot of international flights coming out of B&A from what I've gathered.
Yeah.
But there was like the couple times that I've been in B&A, there's never anybody over there. So I just go and I sit, and like when I went to Vegas, I like went straight through TSA, straight over to Voodoo Donuts, got me a donut and a drink, and I sat down over in those gates and just kind of hung out for a little bit.
Here's what I'm afraid of, though, because like even if I'm like checking out at Walmart and I'm like scanning all my stuff, I'm making sure I scan everything, but I'm like over there in a cold sweat, terrified that they're gonna think I'm stealing.
But TSA is a little nerve-wracking because they're trying to hurry you through.
If somebody asks me, why are you so nervous? I will cry.
They won't. I'm sure they're used to people walking through there being nervous just from general anxiety of flying.
Yeah.
But, I don't know. Pop a gummy. You be fine. You get through TSA.
Oh, no, that'll make it worse. Sometimes I get super paranoid.
I think TSA would stress you the hell out because they are trying to hurry you through and push you through.
Yeah.
And then, you've got to put all your bags, You've got to put your bags in a bin, and then your shoes and everything else.
I got to take my shoes off.
You got to take your shoes.
I got to have my dogs out,
and then you got to take your laptops and your phone and have them out separately. They can't be in your bag; they have to be out.
That's a lot going on.
But once you get through that and you get your shoes on, get all your shit back, then you're good.
They should have people that work for the airline or whatever, the airport, that take around first-time flyers, no matter what age they are.
I agree.
That would be nice.
I agree.
And your name can't be in their system for any other flights or something.
Right.
You have to legitimately be a first-time flyer.
Right.
Otherwise, they would have tons of people having to they'd have to hire, which they can afford it. Don't let them fool you. They can afford it, but
they've got.
That would probably, if that was something that was available, that would make me feel better about flying.
Well, they do have a service for people in wheelchairs. Yeah. There are specific people that will push them through the airport.
Oh yeah.
I liked too, you can take your your service animals with you, and they have rooms in the airport for the dogs to go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty cool. I kind of wanted to open it up and see what it looked like.
Yeah, because I watch Molly Burke sometimes. She's blind. She's got a dog, a service dog. And she always has usually has a really good experience at the airport.
We went on our way home from New Orleans.
Yeah.
I think it was. These people had a whole Great Dane that they brought on the plane with us. Mm-hmm. So they sat in the very first seat, in the very front.
I will say these true fruits stink. It doesn't smell good.
They sat in the very front, so there's more leg space there, and the dog just kind of laid on the floor. It was so cute. Is that good?
It's not bad. You want one?
No, not really. Anyway, so back to this. Letting your dog run loose in Waterboro is prohibited. I get that.
Yeah.
As a dog owner, leash your dogs when you're in public.
Yeah.
But the leashes cannot be more than 8 feet long, according to this. Also makes sense.
Yeah, that does make sense. You don't want to, if they get too far from you, they can still just do whatever they want.
A lot of these are repeats. Oh, in Waterville. Waterville's kind of strict.
Mm-hmm.
Or Portland. It's illegal to spit on the sidewalk.
Good. That's disgusting.
Right.
You can't explain it. But even though it's on the bottom of my shoe, if I see where somebody has spit on the ground outside, I will walk around it.
Yeah.
Or step over it. I'm not stepping on that. That's gross.
In Maine, it is illegal to pay for things with bullets. You can. I'm sure, if you were just doing, a little trade amongst friends, you could use bullets as, bargaining or whatever.
In Maine, if I see you do that, I'm calling the police.
But
I will rat you out.
It does note that the conversion rate for bullets to US dollars is too time consuming to figure out, but I guarantee it'd be
like a crazy amount of bullets to every dollar. Yeah. Yeah, it would probably be I don't know. Wait a minute. If you go to a store and you buy bullets, you're trading money for bullets.
Yeah.
That's messed up. Somebody in Maine has way too much time on their hands to be thinking of that.
While we're talking about, I said something about spitting on sidewalks.
Yeah.
In Freeport, you cannot spit from 2 stories up. Thank you.
Yeah.
If I'm walking down the street and somebody 2 stories up spits, we got a problem.
And I get hit, we're fighting.
In Freeport, you cannot sell mercury thermometers.
Okay. Does anybody use mercury thermometers anymore?
I'm not gonna lie. I almost feel like I trust those more than I do some of the digital ones.
You're probably right.
If you're on an airplane in Maine, it's illegal to push a moose from the aircraft. You got to be nice to the mooses. Is it mace? Moose? Mooses? You got to be nice to them. If this is odd. In old Maine blue law, citizens were required to carry shotguns into church just in case there was a Native American attack. Article 1 of the Maine Constitution allows each citizen the right to keep and bear arms. And Maine is a constitutional carry state. It's forbidden, they're forbidden in federal buildings and establishments that serve alcohol, but you're supposed to take them to church.
That's crazy.
You're not allowed to hunt on Sunday, though. So you go home with that gun after church. In Wells, you can't feed or bait deer, just like here in Tennessee. You're not supposed to bait them. Did you know that? You're not supposed to bait deer. Like, you can feed them, but if you're luring them to a spot to where you're hunting.
Yeah.
Which, how does one go about feeding deer on their property if they're also hunting on their property and it not be illegal?
I guess if you can't have it out while you're hunting.
Maybe.
I would say.
Maybe.
Like, you would have to pack it in.
Playing pinball used to be illegal in Freeport.
Yeah. I see that. It is kind of like gambling.
Yeah. That's it for that one. I'm gonna throw an extra link in with my stuff. You'll get it. Never mind. Okay, all right. Go for your next one while I do this. Who are you texting over there?
Daniel.
Where's he at?
Are
you sending him on a run already?
No.
Oh.
He messaged me and Isaiah tried alcohol. And Daniel
He's
said,
never?
No. He said, gonna get turned. No, it tasted terrible, so I'm good on that.
What did he try?
Royal Crown, vanilla with Coke, and I wanted something James Bond would drink. I took a sip. Daniel, that's not what James Bond would drink.
First of all, we don't try and be bougie for our first drinks, okay? That's like a friend of ours. The one that we were talking about earlier that I talk to like once a month, you know?
Yeah.
She decided for her 21st birthday, she wanted to have a martini because she wanted to feel fancy, and then discovered that she, in fact, does not like martinis. I was like,
it was
a terrible idea.
My first legal drink was a pina colada, and I hated it. I don't like coconut.
I couldn't tell you what my first legal drink was. Because it's probably something like a strawberry daiquiri. I do enjoy a strawberry daiquiri. No, you know what? I bet it was an amaretto sour. I bet it was. I did take a liking to those thanks to my sister prior to me being legal.
I said he'd like something fruity. And then I was like if I made him a drink, he'd probably not mind it because I don't like my drink strong.
If he doesn't like whiskey, he's probably like me and would be like a rum or vodka drinker.
Probably, yeah. Like, I think he would probably be a rum, but...
I'm a rum girl. I do enjoy the rum. I never drink it.
Mm-mm.
I rarely drink.
Like coconut rum and pineapple juice.
Oh.
Divine. Guess what I'm allergic to? Pineapple. And I think the same thing is happening. Like, we've talked about it in our weight loss class with, like, sensitivity to certain fruits and, like, the way it makes your mouth feel. Mm-hmm. I fear the same thing is happening with bananas.
Oh, no.
Because I get this, like, funky feeling in the back of my throat. And I'm like, damn it.
I'd be so sad if I was allergic to bananas. Because
that's the same thing that happens when I eat raspberries, blackberries, and pineapple. And now...
You just named my top favorite, like, some of my favorite fruits.
Oh, love a raspberry. I used to sit and, like, just eat fresh raspberries and blackberries. And, like, the way I discovered it was when I lived with my granny. I was, like, 19. And she was like, I got some blackberries that I picked from, you know, my friend's house.
Let me tell you something real quick.
And I'm sitting there eating them, and I was like, my throat feels weird.
These are hitting now.
Okay. Are you ready for me to move on?
Yeah.
In June of 2016, there was a great mystery afoot in Westbrook, Maine. Reports of a huge snake slithering through the area were beginning to emerge. Wessie, as the serpent was christened, captured the imagination of the public with descriptions of its monstrous size and peculiar presence along the Presumpscot River. I probably said that very wrong, and anybody listening in Maine, please send me the phonetic spelling to wandersweird@gmail.com. The earliest sighting from a local who said they had seen the snake was that it was over 10 feet long with a head the size of a softball nearby a local playground. And just days later, a Westbrook police officer was able to corroborate the report when he spotted an unnaturally large snake near the bank of the river. These eyewitness reports fueled rumors. Could it be a Burmese python that was released or escaped? Was Wessie a previously unknown cryptid that had lived in stealth mode along the river? Just 2 months later, in August of 2016, a shed skin of a giant snake was found in Westbrook and was later identified as belonging to a Burmese python. The skin was over 10 feet long, which suggests that the snake itself could possibly be about 16 feet or more long. This evidence pointed to the fact that Wessie was most likely an exotic pet on the loose, but some cryptozoologists still held out hope that an unknown giant snake was inhabiting the area. The skin was acquired by the International Cryptozoology Museum, and it remains there on display as a testament to the mystery surrounding Wessie's brief but dramatic emergence. Nobody knows how long the python survived in the wild, whether it bred with another snake, or whatever even happened to it.
There could be like some cool ass hybrid snake out there.
We wouldn't know.
Anyway.
4 for 4. I'm going to let y'all know. For my, like, wanting to be a better podcaster in 2025, this episode made it really hard.
All right, so now I've taken to Reddit. There's a subreddit. Hold on. There's an old law that states inmates may not be fed lobsters more than 2 times a week, as more often than that was considered inhumane. Look at Ziggy right now.
Yeah.
Face plant.
Yeah.
I've
Him's
never.
a good boy. That's how he sleeps. I don't know how he breathes.
Right. So feeding inmates lobsters more than twice a week is inhumane. I mean, like, if we're rolling like that,
I mean, I guess. But like,
I don't like lobster, but
no, I'm not. I don't. It's fine.
the one time I had
I'm
it,
really okay on that though.
I think I had like a bite of lobster from like Outback Steakhouse.
Yeah, I think that's where I had mine too.
Maybe if it were fresh, I would think differently about it.
Mm-hmm.
But we're in a landlocked state, so that's not happening.
Right. When we went to Gatlinburg in December, he was like, "What sounds good?" We're looking at all the different restaurants because like we planned on only eating out one time because we were only there for 2 nights.
Yeah.
And like we were just gonna like eat in the room or whatever. So we were like discussing where our one place we were gonna go was. And I was like, I don't want seafood. He goes, why? I was like, not up here in the mountains. Where'd that come from? How long has it been sitting in a cooler or whatever?
Right.
I was like, I'm good. It's not fresh. He's like, you don't know that. It could be fresh. I was like, fresh from where?
Gatlinburg, Pigeon Forge was where Maddie had that fish sandwich that made her so sick.
Yeah. I was like, but like fresh from where?
Have we told that story?
I think so. I think
that was the funniest shit. We still laugh at like every time we go somewhere and Maddie's like, I don't know what to get. I'm like, you want a fish sandwich? She's shut up.
Never again.
It is not terribly obscure. But if your wipers are going, your headlights need to be on. I agree.
Yeah. And like, just because there's a little bit of light outside doesn't mean you don't have to turn your headlights on.
Right.
I don't know how many people I have almost hit because it's almost dark. Like, it's just like give it a good 10 minutes, it'll be pitch black.
Yeah.
And they've got a dark colored car and no lights on.
Mm-mm.
And I'm like it's had like that alone, that instance where I've almost hit somebody driving like that. It was like 3 or 4 times just this week. And I'm like, please, I don't want to wreck this car. This isn't my car. This is a nice car. I don't want to wreck this car. Right. Turn your lights on.
Billboards are illegal in Maine.
Hell yeah, brother.
I love it. Like,
hell yeah, brother. I'm so sick of seeing advertisements.
Well, there's like some areas of cities, or maybe like whole cities where there are no billboards, or like the store signs and stuff have to be like ground level.
Yeah.
And it's nice. It looks really nice.
Yeah. Like, why? Not everything has to be an advertisement. Like, if you think everything, there's an advertisement. Like, you remember when TikTok was so enjoyable to just scroll through and it was just funny videos?
Yeah.
And now, like, I would say 50% are TikTok shop ads.
Yeah.
Now, I love shopping. Do not get me wrong. And, like, I like it whenever the occasional Amazon targeted ad comes up on my Facebook feed, because I'll just sit there and swipe through, because it's like Amazon catered to me, because it's like stationery or home organizations, shit like that. It's like, that's why I got the longest wish list on Amazon. But like, not everything has to be an advertisement.
But I will tell you, back in the day when I had TikTok, my favorite was when I'd be scrolling through. You know, you go to bed, you lay down to bed for the night, you turn on TikTok, you scroll through for a little bit. Yeah. You don't anymore, do you?
Sometimes, but not like I was. Yeah. No.
Well, that was like an every night thing for me. And especially on the nights when TJ would be like out of town and I'm, in the bed by myself so I can be up till 2:00 in the morning and it's not bothering anybody.
Yeah.
My favorite is those when I've already thought to myself, okay, I really do need to go to sleep.
Yeah.
And then it's like, are you scrolling instead of sleeping? And I'm like, you know what?
Those.
You're right. And I'll turn it off and go to sleep.
I like that those work on you because I get angry and
I'm like, you're right. I should go to sleep.
No, because honestly, ever since Pixie, because she moved to Twitch now, so she just streams on Twitch, and ever since then, I don't scroll through TikTok as much as I used to. But yeah, I mean, you're not doing it at all. You just got Instagram Reels,
Instagram and Facebook.
But yeah, so
here's a gross one for you.
Yeah.
You're allowed to marry your first cousin as long as you first get counseling on possible genetic problems.
Ugh.
This comment on it though goes, my mom's a genetic counselor. She's seen some shit.
I bet.
You're not allowed to keep a moose as a pet.
Fair.
If you accidentally hit a moose with your vehicle and you sustain damage as a result of the collision, the officer can let...
Does the moose get a ticket?
No. You get to keep the carcass if the officer says you can.
Oh. I mean, hell yeah, brother. What are you going to do with it? Are you eating it?
This says...
People eat moose, don't they?
Probably. This says, an out-of-state friend thought it was a good way to get some free meat until I said to him, it's your reward for surviving a crash with a 6-foot, 1,000-pound animal.
Right.
Have you ever seen?
Oh, yeah.
Like, I've never seen one in person.
But
you
a
see
video of a moose next to, like, a Toyota Corolla.
Or, like, a person. Like,
yeah.
That's terrifying.
I would never want to encounter one. Like, you're not stepping on me. Hold
on. All right, so if there's like a private beach, so this says it's case law rather than a statute.
Mm-hmm.
If there's a private beach and you're out on the beach taking a walk, you can't go on that area. You can't walk through it. You are allowed to go ice skating in that area if there's a sheet of ice there. But you can't walk through there.
I need to see this case law. I need to see it. I need to read that. Does it cite it?
Maybe. Hold on. Yeah, there's like a link to, it says Public Shoreline Access in Maine, a Citizen's Guide to Ocean and Coastal Law. It's 3rd edition, August 2016. So
I'd have to see but the case, it would be like somebody v. somebody.
Oh no, this is just it's like a pamphlet. It's just telling you what the laws are. Hold on, there's references here that look like they could be.
Yeah.
Matthews versus Treat, Matthews versus King, French versus Camp. I mean, there's a ton there. Here, you want me to send you the link?
Yeah, send me that. Send it to the...
Open Teams. Oh, do you want it in the thing?
Yeah, just send it in the email.
Okay, hold on.
And then I'll be more likely to see it.
Okay. You can go on with your next story.
Okay.
What the...
Seguin Island has a history dating back to August 16th, 1607, when George Popham and Raleigh Gilbert first anchored under the island before they headed up the Kennebec River to form the Popham Colony. In 1786, William Lithgow and 54 other petitioners from Georgetown requested of the General Court of Massachusetts for a lighthouse on Seguin Island, but it wasn't approved by George Washington until 1793. And in 1794, Massachusetts ceded 10 acres of land on the island to the federal government in order to build the lighthouse, which was commissioned by George Washington the following year, with the first tower being erected that same year. Major John Polaretsky became the first keeper with a salary of $150 a year in 1796, and he remained there for 5 years.
That's not even worth the effort.
Well,
Back
then
yeah.
It probably was pretty good money, but now we're just like, I can make that, I make more than that in a week. A second tower was authorized by Congress in 1817 to replace the original wooden structure, and construction was completed on that in 1819. Fast forward to 1939, and the U.S. Coast Guard took command of the station, and in 1942, Clarence Schofield and his family left the island, and Clarence was the last civilian keeper of the lighthouse. In 1977, the light station was placed on the National Registry of Historic Places, and in 1985, the light was automated and the Seguin Island Lighthouse was decommissioned. In 1986, the Friends of the Seguin Lighthouse was formed, and in 1995, all 64 acres and the buildings were deeded to them. By New England standards, having been built in 1857, the Seguin Lighthouse is not that old, but the keepers always get the same questions from tourists. Is it haunted? This question tends to bring a smile to the faces of keepers as they try to answer as non-committedly as they can. There is the story of the keeper whose wife drove him insane by playing the same song over and over on the piano until he took an axe to the instrument and then to her.
I mean, I get it.
Yeah. Passing sailors claim to hear piano music playing across the water on quiet, still nights. There's also the story of a young girl who was buried on the island who can be heard laughing and calling out to visitors, or is seen running up the lighthouse steps. There's also a former keeper who is so upset when the current residents move furniture that he returns it to its original position.
Oh.
There was also the story of the keeper who got locked in the basement. It was one of those hook and eye latches, and there was no explainable way how that could have been locked. On 2 separate occasions, the current keepers heard a female voice call out, "Hello?" They believed that guests were arriving, and so they pulled on their boots and ran outside, only to be greeted by an empty yard.
That's crazy. So, knowing firsthand, hearing a voice out of silence address you in any way is unnerving. It is unnerving, especially in my case when it says your name.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, remind me when this is over. No, well, like when we're done with our stories here.
Yeah.
I have spooky updates.
I love spooky updates.
Okay, so now I'm out of Weird Loss.
Okay.
So I have, how many stories do you have left?
One.
Just one?
Just one.
Okay. Do you want me to do all 3 of these weird Maine man stories?
Sure.
I think they're probably short. So the first one happened, it looks like 4 years ago. According to WABI TV 5, state police responded to a call out of Mars Hill to an apparent vehicle theft. But it wasn't your ordinary car theft. So it says that a woman called it to report a man sitting in his truck in front of her home. And then the man got out and began running up and down the road before eventually getting into the woman's Jeep Cherokee and taking off in it. He took the Jeep down the street and began ramming his own truck with it before returning it to the woman's driveway. The man stole a car to wreck it into his own vehicle.
That's crazy.
After he parked her Jeep back in her driveway, he took off running toward his own truck again. When the police arrived, he was back inside his truck and refused to exit. They broke a window in order to gain access, and 34-year-old Troy Dubuck of Westfield was taken into custody and charged with aggravated criminal mischief, among other things. And he was already out on bail on a condition of not being allowed to operate a vehicle.
Yeah.
So, shouldn't have been in his truck to begin with. Close the wrong screen.
My God. I accidentally turned my sound on Instagram. Sorry.
Over there scrolling Instagram, I'm sitting here telling stuff.
I'm listening.
Hateful.
That's why I got the sound off. Plus, we're recording, and that'd be rude.
So this story, it's kind of silly.
Yeah. I like a silly story.
So this says, in a small town of Maine, Arrowsick, 44-year-old man was fighting with his 23-year-old relative over a cheeseburger. The fight turned physical, and the 44-year-old man grabbed a wood chisel and tried to stab the 23-year-old.
Over a cheeseburger?
He was arrested and charged with aggravated assault. And not surprisingly, alcohol was a factor. Minor scratches were the only reported injuries.
Lord.
And then it says, no word on the condition of the cheeseburger.
Goodness.
And then my last one I have is 41-year-old man led police on a chase down Route 2, reaching speeds of more than 100. The police kind of pulled back once it started getting so fast. Later, they found him in Pittsfield and when they attempted to stop him, he shoved the passenger on, because he was on a motorcycle.
Yeah.
Shoved the passenger of the motorcycle off and took off.
The hell?
Yeah. What is that noise?
The turtle moving.
Oh. So then later on, the police came across the motorcycle abandoned. And then when they tried to tow it away, 4 members of the rider's family showed up and began attacking them.
What the hell? Y'all, you can't be acting up like this.
Right. They were charged with obstruction of governmental administration.
Yeah.
And as of this being written, they were still in search. They were still searching for the guy that took them on the chase initially.
Oh my gosh.
So, there you have
Y'all
it.
gotta start behaving.
Right.
Near Acadia National Park sits the 1.3 mile Ship Harbor Nature Trail, which is said to be one of the best routes in the area for a leisurely way to enjoy the scenery and sea breeze. In October of 1739, there was a ship that wrecked just off the coast of Ship Harbor, which wasn't uncommon back then due to a lack of lighthouses, and the craggy Maine coast took down several ships. The crew of the ship, over 200 people, swam to shore in the frigid water, and when they arrived, they were dismayed to find the area uninhabited. They didn't have any other options, and many of them died within a few days. They were buried right there, and then presumably they still surround the trail today. The ones that didn't die did go off in search for help, but considering the rocky landscape and forest, anything could have happened and they were never heard from again. Today, people report hearing ghostly howls, believed to be those that died in the cold weather with no food. But apparently the story of the shipwreck isn't even true, and the actual ship wrecked at Grand Maine in the Bay of Fundy, which is now part of New Brunswick in Canada. It had set off from Ireland in July of 1741, going to Newcastle, Pennsylvania. It contained about 200 paying passengers, and they were caught in a hurricane and drifted in the North Atlantic for weeks, becoming overran with starvation, fever, and death. On the 28th of October, they had drifted ashore on an island around Grand Manana, and the captain and his crew left the ship with the passengers so they could go drink at Fort Frederick in Pemaquid. 35 of the men attempted to get to the mainland in search of help, but never returned. The captain and his remaining crew returned a month later to loot the ship, and when the survivors asked for rescue, they only took 48 of them to Cushing, where they were subsequently stripped for whatever possessions they might have had as payment for their rescue. The people of Cushing, many of them being Irish, welcomed the survivors and rescued the remaining people at the shipwreck in late December, after one group complained to the governor of Boston. I will say, Maine has been somewhat disappointing.
Right. Very. Lord. All right, so you want me to tell you about the spooky update?
Yes, please.
All right, so this week has been weird, and I have seen that, like, vibrations are super high right now anyway, for whatever reason. Mm-hmm. So this week alone, it's been, like, really freaking cold here.
Yeah.
So, you know, I'm going to, for my peace of mind, attribute the stuff that's been going on to, like, just the house reacting to freezing temperatures.
Yeah.
So I can't say anything about Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday because the kids are home. So, like, Thursday, Friday, it was like creaks and knocks and pops and sound like footsteps and things rustling in places all day long while I was home by myself.
Yeah.
It was eerie. And then I'm sitting there, I want to say this happened Thursday. I'm sitting there, I'm working away, minding my business. Dogs are in my room with me, both on the bed asleep. I hear knock, knock. I don't remember if it was knock, knock or knock, knock, knock. Mm-hmm. But it sounded like somebody was standing outside of the house on the far end of the house and knocking on the wall, like outside.
Yeah.
It was the craziest thing. Wasn't nobody there.
Huh.
Wasn't nobody there.
Hell.
It was so weird. Like, it was loud enough that it caught Ellie's attention.
Yeah.
And she woke up and started barking.
Mm-hmm.
Which Loki's never responded to anything.
Yeah.
Ever. Ellie responds to everything, even things that didn't even actually happen. But she like, we both jolted, and I was like, what was that? And I got up and, like, started looking around and didn't see anything. It was nuts. I tried to figure out, like, maybe Bowser had done it somehow, but
I mean,
there's no way.
That's like, I'll sit in here and, like, I'll be like, did I hear that? And then I'll turn my head, and whatever cat is in the room with me is also looking in the direction of where the noise came from, and I'm like, I heard that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just been super kind of creepy at the house the past couple days.
Yeah. I have the nonprofit of the month.
Yeah.
We have a new one. The Valentine Project. So the story behind the Valentine Project, every great mission begins with a simple yet profound act of kindness. The Valentine Project's story is no different, rooted in the compassion of two teen siblings, Michaela and Gregory Margida. 15 years ago, while volunteering, Michaela and Gregory were struck by the hardship and isolation faced by children undergoing treatment for pediatric cancer and chronic illnesses. Deeply moved, they envisioned a way to bring joy and hope to these brave kids and their siblings, a Valentine's Day filled with love, care, and a sense of belonging. In its first year, the Valentine Project delivered 88 personalized packages of love to children across Ohio. These weren't just any packages. They were carefully curated shoeboxes brimming with treats, homemade gifts, and heartfelt notes, all meant to deliver smiles and hope. Confidentially shared names were quickly claimed by volunteers, and soon the Valentine House became a hub of love, transforming a simple idea into a powerful tradition. What started as a local effort has grown into a nationwide nonprofit touching the lives of over 1,000 children annually. Today, the Valentine Project extends beyond Valentine's Day with the Kindness Card program spreading joy throughout the year. Michaela and Gregory's passion for helping others has only deepened with time. Gregory, now an attorney with the Metropolitan Public Defender in Portland, Oregon, and Michaela, a research and improvement specialist focused on sustainable global food innovation, continue to hold the Valentine Project close to their hearts. They invite you to join this growing family of supporters, sponsors, and donors. Together, we can make the world a kinder place, one package, one card, and one child at a time. And if you would like to donate, I will leave a PayPal link to donate directly to the Valentine's Project.
That's cool. I like it.
Yeah. I was like, surely there's at least a Valentine's Day theme.
Yeah.
Was like, and if it's a nonprofit, chances are it'll run after Valentine's Day. So
yeah,
this is one that also does stuff throughout the year.
That's cool.
Yeah, I liked that one.
Well, guys, thanks for coming.
Yeah.
Make sure that you're following us on all the socials, such as Facebook,
Instagram.
We have a TikTok, but nothing's happening on it because I don't have TikTok.
And I'm not logged into it. I could log into it.
You could. Could you? Because I don't know. I surely didn't just connect it to my account, even though I can log. Well, it's got its own login.
It's like its own login. I haven't made a Blue Sky. YouTube. We do have a YouTube.
Yeah.
Episodes go straight up. They're automatically uploaded.
I'm not hip with all the different kinds of socials out there, so I don't know where else we could add.
Yeah, we'll have to, with the current landscape, we'll have to do some reconfiguring of that. Yeah. But in the meantime, you can also email us
at wanderersofweird@gmail.com. Yeah. I didn't know what to do.
All right. Bye.
Hey, bye.